The UN has condemned the attack on a bus carrying Coptic Christians to a monastery in Egypt, in which 28 people died. G7 leaders have made plans to take action to counter terrorism during their summit in Italy. And U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says Washington takes responsibility for the leaks which temporarily halted intelligence sharing with the UK.
It's 12:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for our Thoughts on the Matter, a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you. Well, it's actually afternoon. You're tuned to our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. I don't think my mic is actually working, so welcome to live radio. Well, Amanda, I'm gonna let you go ahead and start off while I go grab the cord and try to fix this. You and Brad were kind of talking about the subject. Come on in, Shanquetta.
Afternoon, Shaquita. How are you this morning?
So while I try to fix my mic, I'm going to let Amanda kind of start off with what we were talking about off the air, which was the subject of the incident that happened on the school bus.
All right. Well, we were discussing about this little boy who physically assaulted the bus driver for racial slurs. Now, I know myself as a mother of 3. If my children did that, I know if this was true of the matter, you know, if this legitimately did happen, racial slurs was said, you know, I would have been like, told my kid already, you know, something's going on the bus, you need to tell me. Don't get, you know, fighting should be last resort no matter what, you know, but I'm like, what?
What are the details?
So pretty much what's been reported so far, we have a 14-year-old child that pretty much physically assaulted, punched a 7-year-old bus driver in the face on the bus. The reporting is there were words passed, potentially a racial slur was said from the bus driver to the student, and the student punched him in the face. So that's kind of in a nutshell what's been reported throughout the week. So that's we're just going to get the topics on this. Made news, and this kid potentially is getting arrested, maybe treated as a minor
For assault and battery.
Yeah. So I mean, and part of what I've read on it is that, you know, the news said that there potentially had been previous altercations, well, verbal, between the bus driver and maybe this particular student or another, but I think that's been really just kind of hearsay. I don't think there's been actual proof that these are reported incidences that have occurred.
I haven't heard of that, but I'm sure I have to look that up. But you know, they have cameras.
Right.
So
the video hadn't been released, and it happened in Nettleton School District, correct?
Yeah, that's what I understand. It happened on Caraway, actually. I think the stopping point was at Caraway Commons Apartments. I believe that's where they let him off at.
Oh, okay.
All right, I think I'm back now. It was actually
Welcome back.
Well, just the wrong switch on the board. Somebody probably maybe me messing with it. But you tuned to our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. Of course, you have myself, Cato Wonder, moderating today, along with Mrs. Amanda Donovan,
Afternoon.
Mrs. Shanquetta Cunningham, and
Hello.
Mr. Brad Dow. And as we were saying, the panel was discussing earlier, there was incident in the local news where there was an incident where a young man allegedly punched a bus driver, and the reason that he offered was that the bus driver had been issuing racial slurs toward the young man, and the young man punched him. And of course they were giving their thoughts, and of course my thoughts are, I don't have sympathy for anyone that punches older people, because I was raised by older parents, and I always say I could never serve on a jury of something that was perpetrated towards an older person. If it is true that that person did issue racial slurs toward the the young man didn't. Young man should have told his parents, told the administration. Footage, if that bus had a camera on it, could have been pulled. There could have been other witnesses that could have backed up the statements. But I don't think it's ever right to. I don't think it's ever right to just hit an older person, because, like they said, disobedient child live half their days.
Right. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, not the simple fact that this bus driver is elderly, but I mean, even if he said a word, and yeah, some words are stronger than others, but does it result in punching a man in the face or punching anybody in the face? Was that justified? And as you mentioned, whether was there video, and I think in the articles I read that not all buses at Nettleton District have cameras on them. I think that's kind of the norm typically, but I don't think all of them were. And as we all know nowadays, everybody pretty much carries a camera or a video camera in their hand at all times with their cell phone, and it doesn't seem that much of that is coming up. So I don't know if there's proof to back up what actually happened.
No, I agree with you. It wouldn't have mattered if he was 25 years old, if he was not in any immediate danger, physical danger, to defend himself, throwing the first blow because you don't like what someone said to you. I would prefer if my children, of course, they know that if they're immediate harm or physical danger, they don't have to ask permission.
Right, they just go take care of it, correct.
But, when things like that, especially if it's an adult, you come to me, and I will take care of me. I will take care of it.
Oh,
we will see. My mother is the transportation director for the Blytheville City Schools, and they have buses, the cameras on their buses, excuse me. So I guess I'm just surprised that they don't have, all the buses are not fitted with cameras, even just the older models of just visual
and that's
only.
what the article read, so I don't know if that's 100% true.
Okay.
And if it is, that's kind of unusual, because Valley View and Jonesboro, both of them, they every bus they have has cameras on it.
Yeah, that's what.
And the way they look at it, it's not only for the child's safety, but for the school district's safety as well. So if they don't, they need to get that taken care
And
of.
I think one part about this article that's come up is, this child, obviously 14 years old, he's probably taught that it's okay to, or maybe not directly taught, but he probably sees that it is okay to retaliate like that. The parents need to be holding their child accountable, and the parents need to be held accountable for this, because it's probably stemming from the home life.
Well, I will say this, as a parent, you teach your children the best, and to give them your principles and values. When kids get out of the presence of parents, I will say, and maybe not to this extreme, my children better not ever punch someone in the face, but they will, there is some folly that will occur, because kids will take this little freedom of not having your parents over there, and sometimes may run and do the most with it. I know people that have raised children up in church, and then they go and their children have stole something. So, I think there is some truth to the statement, but that's always not the whole picture. That, some kids can just do the absolute most, and hopefully he has a mother or father that will hold him accountable if he has. If there is some there will be repercussions that comes behind it. They look, you did this, we still love you, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And I do hope that the man is okay. Which of course I'm getting old. I'm 31, but I feel like I ran the other day and my limbs get to hurting. So I'm just hoping that as you get older and things happen to you, what we could survive or hit or punch, that could be devastating for an elderly person. So I do pray and hope that he is okay. And that, just, I really hate this all around. And if there was something said, I do hope that this is also just a point for him to know that, it's not right. So hopefully someone's talking to the elderly man if a racial slur was said, that, it's not okay to do that either. So I'm just hoping for everyone can learn.
Do unto others.
Well, and definitely that. What I wanted to add to it is getting back to the parents and the upbringing. I was a former school teacher, and I had parent-teacher conferences where if the student was doing something the parent would come into the meeting belligerent. I even had one where a parent actually physically went after me, and the principal pretty much just dismissed me back to my classroom, and he said he would handle it.
Yeah.
Because so unfortunately you do have, I'm not saying it happened in this situation, but it does happen that you do have some children that act out in certain ways because it is endorsed by their parents.
Yeah, and that's true. That's very well true.
And I was sharing a story off air before we started. Obviously, I was raised different. My mother, who this station is named after, which I always mention, but during our senior year, the seniors, they let the seniors out a couple of weeks early for school. So me and my guys, we were riding. I had a Jeep Cherokee at the time, and we had those super soaker guns. And so we were just riding around school, just wetting up people with super soakers, just having a good time. The principal saw this. Principal didn't try to chase us down. He didn't call the police. But when I got home, she was standing at the door. And to my guys, she said, "All right, you guys get to walking. I don't care how you get home, but Gansey's not taking you home. Y'all got to find your own way home." And she looked at me and said, "You, keys, you grounded."
But you knew that wasn't right when you first started it, though.
Yeah, but the point is, but the bigger point, and like I was explaining off air to Amanda and Brad, my mom wasn't gonna, wasn't standing for that foolishness. She.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Though kids will do when you out. You have a little bit of freedom, and honestly, I did that too.
Me too. I ain't gonna lie, I did too. And when I got
know it's wrong.
When I got in trouble, my mama was a single parent, and my grandparents helped raise me. So when I got in trouble, my mother was involved, my grandma was involved, and my grandpa was involved. We have a 12-acre right-of-way. Normally, typically, I mow it with a tractor and a bush hog. Well, if Amanda got in trouble, I didn't get to mow with a big mower. I got a bush mower, and it's hay. So let me tell you something. I learned a long time ago, no is no. And if you're going to hit somebody, there best be a good reason. And if you disrespect an elderly, you better hope and pray to God that you don't ever do that, because you are going to get your mouth washed out. And there's a 12-acre right-of-way waiting on you.
Well, I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can share for the rest of the show stories of how we, caught one. I got one more. I've got to share for my grandmother. Then we're gonna get on to the next topic. So this was actually up in church, and we was in church, and the preacher, I guess, was preaching a little bit too long, and so I just got up out of my seat and I ran up and hit the little church bell for Sunday school. Just started tapping it, ding, 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 ding. So grandmother snatched me up and took me out to the foyer. She already had to switch in the purse, and it went down. Of course, after I got grown, grandmother would later tell me, after we was able to laugh. It wasn't funny then, but she said, after I whooped you, she said some of the people came to me in church and said, he needs to ring the bell. The preacher is preaching too long anyway. But the point is, like I said, that old school parenting. And
oh yeah, it works and it's still relevant. I have probably a pinch mark, and my children, I was like, I have no sympathy. Is that bad? I have no sympathy for twisting the ear, doing the little pinches in church. I survived.
Case to get right. That's right.
Well, and of course, now our society, and I don't know, we may end up turning this whole show into a thing about punishment and children. Well, at least we'll let it ride out the rest of this segment. But now we live in a society where if you try to physically discipline your child, you can now be jailed for it. And this is another thing that I saw in my teaching career. I've seen examples of where if a parent or a teacher threaten any kind of punishment, they'll say, well, I'll turn you in, I'll report you. And that has made teachers and parents' jobs much harder, because now these children are emboldened, thinking, well, if someone try to touch me, I'm gonna just call the laws on them. Of course, now you still got some of the parents out there that go out like Medea, like call the popo. Well, I can't say.
Right.
I can't say the other part on the air.
Please call. Right.
Please call the popo. Here's
but
the phone.
what do you got?
I'm waiting on everyone.
And of course,
right.
a lot of people think that has led to a decline in the morals of society, as well as an increase in crime. So what do you guys think of that? You think there's a correlation? And
yes.
between that.
While we were sitting here talking, I kind of was thinking through my head, this 14-year-old got in trouble for punching this 70-year-old man. And then not even 2 weeks ago, we had a shootout at the OK Corral due to young 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Now, it worries me. It says in the good book, spare the rod, spoil the child. Let me tell you something. There is a big difference. I've had both. There's a big difference between somebody beating the fire out of you and letting you know, hey, you're doing wrong. I'm your parent. This is my job. Mm-hmm. I love you. Timeout will only work for for so much.
Oh yeah. The thing is to where children feel some sort of empowerment, as if there is an equal level between the child and the parent. And I love all of my girls, but I tell them I am the authority. And that is what discipline teaches children. But when you give children the option to say, if it ever you don't feel right. Now, granted that I stopped my thought, but granted that I do believe that there are protections needed, because my sister works for DHS. And some of the things that she has to deal with, or some of the cases that we read about, with parents locking their children in closets and, really prostituting them out. These are things that happens right here in our community, and those protections are needed. But just for an allegation of he said, the child said versus the parent said, because, they knew they were going to get in trouble, I just think that's just way too much empowerment given to the children. And that's definitely because my belief. My children call CYS or anything like that, I'm telling you I will be the next hot topic. Right. The next weekend. So I will give you that right now.
All right, Brad, let's get your thoughts on it.
I'm going to come from the angle of a non-parent. I do not have children.
It's kind of, the two males here are we don't have kids. The ladies have kids and the fellas don't.
So,
we need to have Brother Cobbs here, because we know Brother Cobbs has kids. But go ahead.
This is actually something we typically touch on every single segment. There's a lack of, I guess, accountability and foundation at the home level on a lot of things, and just those basic fundamentals that it seems like all of us have been taught as kids of respect. I mean, general, and I think it's just a lack of respect that's being taught, for whether it's for authority or your parents, or in general, it doesn't seem like it's starting at home anymore, and that it's spreading out, and it has that ripple effect to every part of the community, what goes on. And right, I mean, and she made a great point that there are bad people in this world. There are bad parents. There truly are. But it seems like just in general, most parents, that these issues are occurring, they're not taking care of it at home first. Because, I mean, you talked about, yes, we all went out and did stupid stuff, but we knew. We knew. It's kind of like growing up.
We got accountable and checked for that too.
It's like growing up. You didn't stick your hand on the hot plate on the stove because it burned you, right? You knew that. You were always told that. But when you finally did it, and it's real life, and you're burnt, from here on out. I mean, some people learn trial by fire, but they're taught, and I mean, it just seems like the foundations are not being created at home, and it's just rippling through every part of our community and daily life.
I think the loss of community too kind of speaks to that, because going back to the point Amanda made, that I very well knew that if Miss Glenn was going to tell my mom, she could get on to me, and then my mom was going to get on to me as well. But now you go into neighborhoods to where you don't even know the person that lives two houses down from you. There is no community. The lack of community is just really leaving to where we don't feel like there's an accountability. If I see a child that I know,
right,
I'm going to say, I may not, whoop you like they did in the old days, but it's like, look, I will tell your mom, and I'm telling you that I'm going to tell, your mom. But now it's like, those not my kids.
I tell you what we do in our trailer park. If we see a kid doing something wrong, now we don't pick them up and whoop them or nothing like that. But I'll take you by the hand, and I will take you to your mother and make you tell her what you did wrong.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if you think about it like this, so we still have this situation of this child, this 14-year-old that
thinks he's
fist
grown.
punched a 7-year-old man.
He thinks he's grown.
It's at a certain point that was obviously ingrained in his mind that was an okay, acceptable response to a situation. You know, we were always taught sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, obviously this kid was taught if somebody says a single thing you don't like, you retaliate. I mean, that's obviously in his mind. Now, most normal people probably would have been like, I shouldn't even have that thought probably would have never came into our heads, honestly. But there's a certain level that this has been taught to be acceptable. And that's generally the underlying problem.
Yeah, and I think it's just a whole systemic, thing to where it's not every generation have their own things that they have to deal with and that are distractions and stuff. But I assure you, that's why I'm so hard on my girls. I am glad that I wasn't a part of this generation as far as everything needs to be photoed and videoed and for validation.
Me too.
Right.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to get ready to go to break. You're tuned to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. If you'd like to be a part of our conversation, give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, the phone number is 870-277-1080. You can also leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook live stream. Shout out to everyone who is watching so far. Leave us a like, let us know what you think about what we're talking about, and join in on the conversation. You're tuned to Our Thoughts on the Matter, and this is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
This is Leo with your KLEK Learn Spanish Minute. Alright, so Friday comes, our fridge is empty, so we have to go back to the supermarket. I know we don't like to do that, but we have to. So we go buy groceries, and that's called las compras.
Las compras.
Las compras, that's when we have to go buy groceries. We will meet the cashier, after we finish finding everything, and that's la caja.
La caja.
La caja. And then they'll ask us, how are you paying? Cash, check, or credit card? Cash is efectivo.
Okay, say it again.
Efectivo.
Efectivo.
There you go. Credit card is tarjeta de crédito.
Tarjeta y crédito.
Tarjeta de crédito.
Tarjeta de crédito.
There you go. And checks are cheques.
Cheques.
There you go. So now we can go do groceries and pay. I am Leo, and this was your KLEK Learn Spanish Minute.
Starks Auto Plaza, your pre-owned superstore, is a longtime supporter of KLEK. 2829 Red Wolf Boulevard, Starks offers clean, reliable vehicles of all makes and models. Starks also offers no-hassle pricing, friendly service, financing options with approved credit. At Starks, you're always family, and our motto is, we never say no. 870-203-9980. StarksAutoPlaza.com.
KLEK is starting a new fundraiser which will allow listeners to donate to KLEK while buying groceries. KLEK is a part of the Kroger Community Rewards fundraising program. When shoppers visit a participating Kroger and scan his or her Kroger Plus shoppers card, a portion of the savings goes back to KLEK to help keep it on the air. Details on how to sign up for the program are available at KrogerCommunityRewards.com and at KLEKFM.org. This is a KLEK fundraiser.
The Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was chartered on June 29, 1975 in Jonesboro, Arkansas. AKA was founded on a mission comprised of 5 basic tenets, which are to cultivate and encourage high scholastic and ethical standards, promote unity and friendship amongst college women, study and help alleviate problems concerning girls and women in order to improve their social stature, maintain a progressive interest in college life, and be of service to all mankind through programs of educational enrichment, health promotion, family strengthening, environmental ownership, and global impact. More information about the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is available at Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
And now back to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. Cato Wonder is in the studio with you. I am being joined by Mrs. Amanda Donovan, Mrs. Shanquetta Cunningham, and Mr. Brad Dow. And we've been talking, the first segment we were talking about an incident with the young man on the bus. And now we're going to move on to something else that is happening in the news in Jonesboro. Arkansas State University has a brand new chancellor. His name is Dr. Kelly Damphus, and Dr. Damphus, from what I've seen, has been pretty well received by the Jonesboro community. I've actually personally chatted with him on Facebook and invited him to join us on community conversations, and he's agreed to do so at a future date. So we look forward to having Dr. Damphus on the show to talk about what his vision for the university is. But what I want to ask the panel is, what do you think Dr. Damphus will mean for the university going forward? Do you think he can bring positive change, address some of the issues, some of the problems, heal some of the divisions? What do y'all think he's going to be, of the job you think he'll be able to do for the university?
I believe that he's going to bring a fresh start to A-State. I mean, I've done some research on this man. He literally lived with freshmen, him and his wife, for 365 days out of the year. They never left the university. They used all the facilities. They ate with the freshmen, you know. So he ain't, how am I going to say this? He knows what it's like to actually live on campus. So hopefully he'll address some of the issues we have here in town.
Well, and to add to that, I did read that he taught a class while he was at the University of Oklahoma. So I don't know if he's going to do that at Arkansas State, or, of course, if he decides to stay in the dorm at Arkansas State. For those of us who went to A-State, definitely have some dorm stories. Too bad Twin Towers isn't still staying.
Twin Towers.
Now, if Twin was still here and he stayed in Twin Towers, I'd definitely have to
kudos to him, huh?
Yeah.
Kudos.
I stayed in the family housing, so that's my dorm experience at A-State. But I was reading about Dr. Kelly and his wife, I think, Miss Beth, I believe her name, and as I was sharing during the break, it seemed like he's one of those fast-track professionals to in the last 15 years or so, and he really just was a staple at Oklahoma University. And what I do believe will probably be maybe the greatest attraction of him. Of course, when ASU hires someone, you all have the great faith that he's going to be positive, bring a positive change. That's, of course, would be why they hired him. But I think one of his strongest assets, it seems like, is raising private funding, because they reported through the ASU. What is it called? Through the ASU mailings about it, that he raised over, I believe, $30 million in private funding for the university. And everyone knows it's probably one of our weaker points of raising private funding and getting alumni. I know we have a great alumni team, but getting those dollars. And so I believe that's probably the edge of being able to attract that private funding, which will be a great help toward the students.
He also seems highly motivated.
Yeah. If you were to go look around social media, around the new chancellor, especially from ASU, it looks like he's very well received on A-State social media. Even just looking through the former schools he was at, looked like he was always actively involved. He wasn't there just as a paycheck. It looks like he's actually personally invested in it. Lack of a better term, in the trenches with everybody.
Yeah.
So that right there, from a job perspective, is extremely. It builds respect with the people that I think you work with.
Well, and when they were doing the interviews with the finalists, it was noted that he was the only one that actually got up from behind the lectern and engaged the crowd, and they said his presentation was like head and shoulders above the other two finalists, and it was pretty much unanimous.
It was a unanimous decision. And also I was looking at it from his work at Oklahoma University, from what I could find, and just with the video promo that A-State released, his wife was right there. I think that's just a big part of, kind of just speaks to his character, that his wife, is an asset to him, and a lot of times we really don't see the wife until kind of certain events, but it seems like every step of the way she has been there. She's in the video with them, and just their past work, that they work together well. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing more of her, and it wouldn't surprise me if if she's going to be leading something with the university.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a very welcome addition to the A-State family. And like you said, it looks like they're very just actively involved, and hopefully we can keep them around for a while. Maybe we don't have as much turnover as a football coach, but, hey,
or basketball coach.
Coach. We know what that's like. So hopefully our head A-State representative sticks around for a while and brings a lot of good change and a lot of good positive news.
They can hire me though for $360,000 a year.
No, right? I'll take it. I'll go
I did
give.
not see that on the job ads.
Hey, I can pay off my
It's
student. I'll pay off
$360,000
with that kind of money. I can pay off my student loans, get a PhD, and you can train me.
Right.
I would be like, yeah, put my business definitely on. Hire me.
But do you all see an increased relationship between the city of Jonesboro and Arkansas State with Dr. Danfus at the helm?
Yeah, I mean, just simply in the topics that have been spoken about so far, and the comments that have spoken, like she said, I mean, he is very, very active in raising private funds, and of course, private funds means getting out in the community, in the area, and actually talking to people and being involved. And I really think that, if he can do that from where he came from, and he's going to bring that type of relationship to that local area.
Oh yeah, and if you attract dollars, you attract people. That's just
That's it.
That's just the name of that tune. So if he is instrumental in that, I'm sure that other people and even the city could see how they could foster, a better relationship.
And I would surely hope so,
the university.
Because, as we mentioned kind of before we came back from break, is that, A-State is in the top 3 colleges in the state, and to steadily grow, you've got to bring in new money, because money makes you grow and expand and bring in more educational opportunities. So hopefully we can see that.
Yeah, and it just lessens the burden that the students, we've all been there, and the more that you can do to help cut down costs or not increase them, that's just a economic benefit in the long run.
Once again, you are tuned to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. If you would like to weigh in on what we're talking about, or if you got something that's on your mind, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. You can also leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook live stream. I'm going to go ahead and go into another topic, and this actually kind of ties in a little bit with what we were talking about. Of course, one of the things that are going on in the Arkansas State University campus is the convention center, but there's another convention center project, the Keller project, that was put on hold because the Keller group had ran into some issues. But news release was recently issued where they sent a letter to the city in which they were outlining that the past issues were taken care of, and they are now getting ready to move forward with the project. So just want to kind of get your guys' thoughts on that. And I have the letter in front of me if I need to go over some of the details.
I did read, he did return, right, the $71,000
from the A&P Commission.
Yes, Mr. Chris Keller. He said $4,000 had already been expended on advertising and promotion. And I read in the Talk Business and Politics article that he's just reassuring everyone his main investor, Mr. Cal Kading, and his group was going to go forth, and they're hopefully within 120 days we should see some framework,
right?
Progress.
And if it comes to fruition, we all know the economic benefit it could be to the city, and it's just that this is so public. I think, if Jonesboro A&P Commission had not been involved, we may not have known as many details really about everything that's going on. And I'm sure this type of up and down and that probably go on with a lot of projects. Do you all remember the Sumos project? How long did that piece of land stay vacant because of financial issues? I think maybe 4 or 5 years, if not correct.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, but we really kind of didn't know the details on that. I just think it's so public.
I've worked in construction. That was my line of field, and my family also deals with construction. The best thing that you can do, my best advice, is to make sure you have sound investors, and make sure you already have your financials in order before you even start a project. I mean, that's like remodeling a home. You ain't gonna start a project that's $3,000-$4,000 when you only have $50 in the bank. You know, some of these people here, these people wasn't getting paid. These people in
Right.
construction business, you know, they can sink somebody else's business because they don't have their business affairs in order.
Well, you know, and that kind of what happened with the fairgrounds, you know, with
Yeah.
liens
Yeah.
being put
Oh,
on it
yeah.
and
Yeah.
all of that, and we all know how big of a mess that turned out to be.
Right. If you don't have things in writing, then it's not an agreement. And a lot of these projects are pushed forward because of conversations. You know, that in other deals maybe at the golf course or something like that. But as we all know, if it's not on paper,
It ain't happening.
it's not it's not a deal. So I guess we shall see by this end of this summer if we're going to see some framework happening. You know,
Looks
I'm
like
just
a big old muddy
I
mess.
know, I'm just, I think everyone just read like just build or just do something already, or not. Let's just
You know, I think that's
Figure
kind
out
of
what we're
my
gonna do.
take on it is whether this one happens or the one at A State happens. I'm perfectly fine with it. I just don't want to see Jonesboro become an issue to where we can't sustain both. That's still kind of
Right.
That's still kind of in the back of my
Yeah.
mind. Whether either one of them goes up, perfectly fine. I think Jonesboro will find a need and a value out of
Both
whichever
of them.
one goes up. But
Oh,
can
yeah.
we sustain two is still in my mind. I don't want to diverge the topic, but or divert the topic, but that's just still where I'm at on that.
no. I mean, I think it's still relevant as far as the economic impact. You know, like the projections of it seems like it would be great, and maybe if we could market ourselves as well as Memphis does, and to get a lot of the trade shows and different things. Again, I don't know where they were putting the convention center, itself. So I mean, you're right. It's just
As
still a
long as
lot
they
of
keep
issues.
their prices decent, it will probably be okay.
Yeah.
Because if you're renting a room $160, $200 a night in Jonesboro, Arkansas, nobody's gonna rent that room. I'm sorry.
Oddly enough, our hotels stay full.
Yeah, I know,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're not like $200 a night though. Some of them.
They're in the
Some
mid
of 'em.
100s, mid to upper 100s.
They're like
at times,
110, one
Yeah,
yeah.
but so we do stay full. We're seeing hotels go up. I mean, still remodels all the time, but a convention center is a different animal. It's
I know.
one-
We gotta have the business to
Yeah.
sustain it. Trade shows, pet shows, like.
But what the guys
You
were
know.
talking though, I mean, it looks like it is moving forward. They have
Concerts.
stated that they are still on target for progressing in the construction of the Keller Convention Center.
So we just have to wait and see.
Was there any in that letter? Was there anything that was stating about the money that was owed to the contractors?
Well, let me look back and see. I still actually have it in the group message that I sent to you guys.
Well, in the Talk Business and Politics report, I don't know how they got this information, or if they reported it from, another article here, but it was stating that Mr. Keller was in the process of paying off some of those debts. And I don't know if that means that, things were taken care of, or it was just stated.
And I do believe in the letter he's going to talk about is that there was no more money that was going to exchange hands until actually there was deliverables. To
Yeah,
occur.
from the city's
And that
part.
was-
Yeah, they
that
were going to
was
give him.
$300,000.
Yeah,
I believe.
$75,000.
That section says on bullet point number 2, irrevocable letter of credit for A&P $300,000 commitment.
Yeah.
This will not be necessary due to the fact that we will return just over $71,000 of the initial installment of $75,000, representing the balance after advertising that was sent in Arkansas business to promote future meetings and conferences. In addition, we will not be requesting any future installments of A&P money until such time the project is complete.
Right.
And I guess in regard to what Amanda just said, this would have been covered in the first point. Said letter from bank investor, please find and attach a letter from Carl Keating Carter's owner of Keating Management Group LLC in Minneapolis, Minnesota, is the principal partner in Central Midwest Hospitality Trust LP. His companies have a long successful history in development, construction, and management of hotels and convention property. So obviously this gentleman, I guess, and I'm assuming this time they have it in writing, a pledge that the money will actually be there.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like I said, some of these people who are working in this together to build this convention center, excuse me, they're small business. They're some of our biggest construction companies here in town, but yet they also rely on their paycheck to pay for their building materials and their labor. So without that money, those businesses can go bankrupt. And that's what worries me, because he's starting out here on the wrong foot, not paying his bills. That's what worries me the most.
Oh yeah, so we shall see.
Yep, may not be the last that we heard this one, but like Brad said, hopefully both of these centers will get built and both will thrive, because if they do, then that just makes Jonesboro as a whole grow and continue to get better. And speaking of Jonesboro, we're gonna go to a national topic, but you know, it actually has local implications as well. As you know, the president released his latest budget, and there are some things in there that could potentially have an impact upon people locally, especially people who may depend on certain goods, certain services. So just want to kind of get you guys' thoughts on that.
It's going to be a mess, and this is Shanquetta Cunningham's thoughts on that.
Well, we do have a disclaimer at the beginning, so we know this is everybody's thoughts, and independent of KLEK and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, underwriters, donors, and sponsors. So.
Yeah, it's looking at it from, I work with nonprofits, and the fact that we live in a rural community, and this is just the odd thing about this, that the biggest cuts of the proposed budget will drastically impact the rural services that Arkansans and the poorest people of the nation receive. Yet, of course, we all know that's what want him to vote. Just for instance, on the local level, most people know we have CDBG here, Community Development Block Grant, that stands to go away. So the weatherization projects that the elderly receive, you know, low income grants to
North Jonesboro.
North Jonesboro, and to fix up your house. You know, if your porches are, you know, not up to code and stuff, this is money that helps. Even
city
providing
parks.
internet in rural areas. You know, these are things that are stand to be eliminated with the proposed budget. And I don't know if, and maybe because day to day you don't think about that stuff and connectivity. You know, and broadband service, but these are all sponsored by agencies that gets federal grant dollars to provide these services. Food programs, domestic violence programs, you know, the shelters that in the money that they receive. Again, I think so many people are focused on healthcare, and it's like, you all, there's a bigger picture. You know, we're always 47, 48. Thank God for Mississippi and Louisiana. It just depends on where we fall as far as, you know, being poor. I mean, that's just the statistics. And you're going to take away these proposed cuts, if it should pass, and if it should be accepted. I'm telling you, you will see the economic effect on just from the food banks alone.
Right.
It's going to trickle down.
Not just
it's going
the
to be
food
heavy.
banks, you know, social services, like you were stating, you know, food stamps, Medicaid, Medicare. I hadn't seen no cut on Social Security, you know, SSI yet. I didn't really see that.
That has been proposed, because now they say that they're not going to cut straight Social Security, you know, that you get from retirement, but SSI, you know, they kind of like, well, if you know, can work at all, then you need to work, and we're going to cut those benefits off. And they propose to tighten up the requirements to get and to stay on SSI.
But here's the deal: a full-time person, if you make a minimum wage and you work 40 hours a week, that still equates what, $19,000?
Somewhere in there.
And I'm trying to figure out how, you know, most people think a person that if they're making, just say 19, 20,000, let's just stretch it to 23,000, and they have a child that has to pay $100 per week, and that you're thinking like, well, so, and the answer is to go out and work. It's not about working. This goes to another topic. It's wage, you know, wages, and most rural Americans cannot afford the services and that's why these programs are so significant. And it's going to be
I've
heavy.
asked around, you know, asking people's thoughts. You know, I'm not rich by no means, but if it's going to help benefit, I don't have a problem paying an extra $2 or $3 out of my check to help somebody. But I've actually had people tell me, well, you don't need no services, and they shouldn't have children.
And Amanda, I want to ask you this question, since you said you've asked, you know, you've talked to people. Why do you think, and the rest of the panel can chime in as well, why do you think there's people out there that just seem to be so against tax dollars being spent to help others. I believe the good book, as you say, said that we should help the least amongst us. Think about that, and we'll address this when we come back from the break. You're tuned to Our Thoughts on the Matter. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Black Health Now. Ever wonder why so many black men wear beards? It's one solution to the annoying and often painful dilemma of razor bumps, a problem common to many black men. Razor bumps itch, burn, and cause scarring. They make shaving almost impossible. Razor bumps occur when coarse beard hairs on the cheeks and neck have been cut or removed below the skin surface. As the hairs grow, they curl over within the follicle and fail to exit to the surface. Some bumps also form when a growing hair exits the follicle and bends back towards the skin surface. When these sharp-shaped edges of coarse hair touch the skin, they grow backwards, causing puffy, pimple-like bumps to appear. Tune in tomorrow for tips to handle this condition. I'm Alexis Comer for Black Health Now. Black Health Now.
Black Health Now is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
The Epic Center, located at 1899 Hasbrook Road, County Road 333, is Jonesboro's newest venue for entertainment for the entire family. They offer an auditorium with theater-style seating for up to 1,100 guests, a large stage, professional lighting and sound, dressing rooms, concessions, and more. Available for weddings, concerts, pageants, birthday parties, showers, and more. Booking and other information is available at Epic Center Jonesboro on Facebook, epiccenterjonesboro.com, and at 870-530-5841.
When a woman gives her all to her boyfriend, she is hopeful about the future. Marriage was in her future plans until she received some shocking news. Now, with her dreams shattered and life altered, she has to pick up the pieces and move forward. It was in this experience that she realized that love has no protection. KLEK 102.5 FM and Massey Productions presents the inspirational gospel stage play, Love Has No Protection, a story that will inspire you, renew and reaffirm your faith, featuring performers from all over Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. One big show, 7 p.m., Saturday, June 24th, at the Arkansas State University Student Union Auditorium. Tickets are $10 in advance, $15 at the door, and can be purchased at KLEK, Cool Cuts, online at www.klekfm.org or by calling 870-277-1080. Bring the entire family Saturday, June 24th to the Arkansas State University Student Union Auditorium to see Love Has No Protection, the inspirational gospel stage play, 7 p.m. This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
Just added a special 3 o'clock p.m. matinee show. That's right, now it's going to be 2 shows, 3 o'clock p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. The hit gospel stage play, Love Has No Protection, coming to the ASU Student Union Auditorium June 24th. Don't miss it.
Hey, what's up, Jonesboro? This is Hezekiah Walker. I'm so blessed to be on the radio here at KLEK 102.5 FM. Join me for the Hezekiah Walker Show every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 10 o'clock a.m. right after Community Conversations, and every Wednesday night right after your local church Bible study at 8 o'clock p.m. Jonesboro, join me, Hezekiah Walker, and give every praise to our God on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Hezekiah Walker. It's the Hezekiah Walker Show.
And now back to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. Cato Wonder is in the studio with you. I'm joined by Mrs. Amanda Donovan, Mrs. Shanquetta Cunningham, and Mr. Brad Dow. And before we went to break, I was asking Amanda, we were actually talking about the budget, and Amanda brought up a point about how some of the people she talked with, like, well, I don't want my tax dollars going to help this person or help that person. And I was asking her, and I want the rest of the panel to join in on, why does it seem like in this country some people are so against helping other people?
And that's what's upsetting. It says in the good book to help one another, but there are some people who believe that you should stand on your own 2 feet. Really, they should be able to stand on their own 2 feet. They are accountable for their actions. When situations happen, I've been on assistance. I was a single mother of 2. I've had FAFSA to help me go to school. Like I said, I'm rich by no means, but I'm in a place in my life where I feel comfortable and I'm willing to help somebody else.
And Amanda, before anybody else says anything, I want to kind of bring this point up and we're actually going to do an episode of Community Conversations based on this, but Quabila, and if you want to look on our social media, you can find it. Quabila, myself, Kate Holiday, our intern Micah, and I believe another lady, we played what was called Income Inequality Monopoly. In fact, we got the Monopoly game up there. And we're actually going to do this we're going to actually do a special 2-hour community conversation. And basically the way the game starts off with, like when you play Monopoly, everyone starts out with the same amount of money. Well, in Income Inequality Monopoly, you're broken up into social classes. And we actually drew out of a cup to see who would draw what. And Cade got rich guy. Micah was upper middle class. Quabila's professor, I can't remember the lady's name, was like middle class. Micah got upper middle class. The professor got middle class. Quabila got lower class, and I got poverty. And that determined how much money you start the game with. So Cade basically started with $5,000, and I basically started with around about $100. So basically, and all of us know how the rules of Monopoly play. Well, obviously, with me only having $100, wasn't really much I could do. And Quabila had just a little bit more. And Quabila was actually the first to be eliminated. Now, because Cade had thousands of dollars, he was able to wheel and deal, and he was able to, get all kinds of property. And he was able to get actually get Park Place and Boardwalk, stick hotels on it, and we actually ran out of time before finishing the game. But obviously, Cade had way more money than the rest of us. And the point I'm making is, some people think that, you should just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, not realizing that some people are starting off already at a disadvantage and have a much harder mountain to climb than other people.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. I can speak from my personal experience. First job out of college, I was barely making $20,000 a year. But you know what? I understood the difference between wants versus needs. I didn't have to go out there and have the most expensive brand new cell phone, brand new car, this and that. And in that matter of 10 years, I feel like done very well for myself, homeowner, all that good junk. But I did it on my own. It's all, and I think a lot of people don't understand what they need versus what they want. We're talking about a lot of the programs and the funding getting cut and things like that through the proposed budget. And there are a lot of people, and we can all accept and we can all agree to this, there are a lot of people that are a product of the system, and they take full advantage of the system.
And those are the ones that should be punished.
And then there are those that truly do need the funding that is out there, and they're not getting it because it is going to people that work the system left and right. And I'm not saying there's a certain group that does it more than the other, just in general. It happens.
Reform is definitely needed. But Leganzi made a bigger point, which kind of, if you don't stick to that point, the whole conversation becomes diluted and you really can't get to the essence of the problem. Like, going back to your story, I agree. Fiscal priorities definitely are important. But you still made those choices and decisions as a single white male. That comes with its advantages on its own. And that's just life. You wish things could be different, but in summation, they're not. you know,
there are things that I will never understand. Yes, I know.
Yeah, and so that speaks volumes too within itself. And when you have, and now there are people that take advantage. I definitely agree, but it's just like making people take a drug test for benefits. Well, we know statistically that's just a waste of money, because they've proven that less than 2% of the people that actually receive the benefits, you know, smoke marijuana. But we throw our resources, because the perception is that we have too many people that's taking advantage of the system, when in actuality, we call it taking advantage, but they call it, this is their lifestyle, because nobody has taught them. Knowledge is everything, and nobody has taught them that there is a better way. Like, you don't have to say work 16 hours just so you can get benefits. Teach them how to work to the 40 hours so they can come off, and education and everything.
We got a Facebook comment, and this may shed some light on some things, and y'all can weigh in on this. This comes from Quabila. Quabila says, concerning the last question posed, if someone says they need to get a better job or go back to school for more education or certification, ask them who is going to fill in those unskilled, low-wage positions. If everyone moved up in socioeconomic status, then there would be no one available to do basic everyday jobs each of us benefit from.
You know what I get told about that question? That's for high school students and people going to college. But, you know, back to what she was saying, let me talk about this for a second. We got a minute and a half.
A second.
But,
we got a little more time. Well,
I helped somebody get a job. He was making $12, $13 an hour. Okay. He literally quit his job. He could benefit. He actually quit his job so he could keep his food stamps. And his wife keeps having babies. She's got 6 of them. Just so she can stay on food services. Now, people like that, I have a problem with. You give this man a $12 an hour job to move on ahead and make more money to help them, but then he gives 2 weeks notice because he's about to lose $100 off his food stamp.
But to that, Amanda, while people misuse services, people misuse power. We still have a president who does not even pay his own construction workers and skips out 20 years of paying taxes. So from the high end to the low end, you always have a beef with the system.
I'm going to make it. I read a quote the other night. Actually, I believe it was from Chris Rock. Actually, he had a story. He's like, if I was stranded on the side of the road and I asked for help, I would never get anybody to offer me help. But if someone saw me pushing my car, they got out and helped, because people are willing to see someone trying to make it on their own and trying. They are willing to help versus someone just asking for a handout.
Right, and I think more willing to help somebody.
Leaps and bounds about a lot of mindset on this topic. You have those that are out there striving day in and day out and making the effort, and you will have people that will assist them. But those that are just holding their hand out because they know they can get it, you're probably not going to see as much help.
All right, Kabila has another follow-up comment. She says the definition of welfare needs to be reformed. Instead, call them social services, and that could probably be a topic for a future edition of the show, because we only got 30 seconds. So I'm going to just give the last word. I think one thing that we can go back and forth on all of this, but we've got to remember, again, the least of us, especially our elderly and our children. Using the example that Amanda was, and disabled. Like Amanda was talking about. Yeah, we could talk about the guy with the $12 an hour job and quitting so he can keep the food stamp. But, you know, those kids, they don't really have much of a choice. So we still need to make sure that those kids get fed no matter what happens to the adults. Thank you guys for listening to our thoughts on the matter. Thank you to our panel for a great and civil discussion. You guys have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.